So, welcome to Oh Your Lovely's Maker Spotlight. My name is Maggie Cullen. I'm the Wholesale Director. One of the privileges that I have working for Oh Your Lovely is working with amazing businesses, amazing people running those businesses, wonderful entrepreneurs. And today we are here to spotlight Christiana Westra of See Anna's Things, based out of Northwest Iowa. And so Christiana, thank you so much for joining us today. How are you doing?
Thank you. I'm doing great. And I want to thank you for the opportunity. I think that's awesome. I'm just a little business. I do it completely out of my house. Which by the way, is not a big house. So if you think you can't do it for that reason, you definitely can. You just have to make it work with your family. I have 3 kids. They're 7, 9, and 12 right now. So that's what I do. I have a little store in my basement and a little workshop in my basement. And my family basically lives in about 1,000 square feet of the house.
I love that. I love that. You can find places to carve out the space. And one thing I found was very interesting when I was reading through your application to be one of our makers that we're spotlighting is your story behind, when you started and the involvement of your kids in your business. Would you want to go into a little bit of that and how you started and just how it even benefited your children?
Yeah, so basically my oldest is a boy and he has ADHD and sensory processing disorder. And it kind of started with, I've always crafted ever since I was a little kid. But once we had our son and the challenges that came up with him, I would just say to my husband, look, I need 1 hour. That's it. I'm going in this room. I'm shutting the door. I just need time to deal with what's going on here. So that being said, my son was nagging enough that he finally was like, please let me help. Please let me help. And I'm like, fine, you can come in here and help. And then we discovered it was actually calming for him to help paint. So that was kind of the turning point of where, okay, I'm right now just doing this for family and friends. I was just doing weddings at that point for family and friends. And I had done that for about 10 years. Just something I enjoyed and liked to help people, did that way. Well, once we found this out about our son, I said to my husband, I think this could be a thing. This could be our answer to prayers, honestly, because we were kind of at that point pulling straws, what is going to help this kid? And here I had felt almost like a bad mom because I was taking the me time, which actually could have been used to help him more had I known, but live and learn. So
I'm sure the me time was helping him because it was making you center yourself and get, self-care is very important. I don't have any children, but I even need time away from my dog at times, very important. The more you take care of yourself, the more you can actually give to your family and that sort of thing.
Which is true. But I just had that little feeling of oh shoot, had I been more willing to let him try, then we would have discovered this sooner. But that's, again, it's live and learn. You do your best and you make it work. So, but yes, he helps paint. Now he does more of he likes to glue the foam into the containers and he likes to actually do the website stuff for me, which
very cool.
If you know anything about me, I am extremely technologically challenged. My parents we didn't have a TV in the house when I was a kid. And I don't think we got a computer until I was 15, 16, something like that. So I never really had a job where I had to do anything online ever. So now I'm 40 years old and I'm going, help. I have to learn all this stuff. And I've learned a lot. And honestly, you can figure it out. But it is definitely a challenge for me. So it's great to have him helping me with that too.
So in your business, are you kind of a catch-all? You do all sorts of different things? Are you still doing primarily weddings? How has your business kind of developed over the years since from the me time crafting into what it is today?
Well, it kind of started out with going to a little craft show in actually Sioux Center, Iowa. The All Season Center there hosts one every spring.
Yeah.
And they were super great to work with. They were like so nice. They were like, this is where your booth is going to be, and this is how much space you can have. And they like walked me through the whole thing, helped me carry everything in. And I was like, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
Like, so I had just a few sales there, but then word started to get out more and more about me and my business. And it just kind of grew from there. So I do now, this is almost 5 years later, I do craft shows every other week in the spring and usually every week in the fall. And I also do weddings. So I pretty much just take the summer off from all craft shows and stuff.
Yeah.
And I focus on weddings. I limit myself to one a month just because the kids being the age they are, that's what works for me. So again, you have to figure out what works for you and your family situation, your life. My husband is the one who earns the bulk of the money for our family. So we're able to do it that way.
Yeah.
So I stay home with my kids and I do this more or less on the side.
Right.
So,
Well, I've heard that with the kids is full time. That's if you're with them. That is one of the most rewarding, but also time consuming positions you ever have.
I would say it's the most rewarding and the most challenging all-in-one job that you don't get paid for.
Right.
The joy of watching them grow and learn and develop and grow into adults and hopefully, in my case, hopefully be successful. At some point in the future.
Well,
grown up yet.
Right. And it seems like, with them helping with your business in certain aspects, like they're already getting skills that you don't necessarily pick up like through school or that sort of thing. Like that's real life experiences that can carry through to next chapters.
Yeah. In fact, my middle child, my daughter, she loves to come to all the craft shows and she actually makes some of her own flower arrangements now, and she's 9. She's been doing that since she was 7, and she has learned so much, and she's kind of more of a shy personality.
Yeah.
So it's just great to see her coming kind of out of her shell, not being quite as shy, being more able to talk to adults, which for her was a pretty big challenge.
Yeah.
But it's really been great for her too. Well, we have yet to see what my youngest daughter has to do with this business, if anything. At this point, she's more of a, I'm going to go off in my own little corner and I'm just going to play and do my own thing. Which is fine too.
For sure. So what is something that you've like enjoyed the most about starting your business?
I think just the challenge of meeting custom orders. I have a lot of custom orders that I take on. That's kind of, I go to these craft shows and I tell people all the time, hey, if you have a container of some sort that's special to you, I'd love to be given the opportunity to put something beautiful in there that's going to last for you instead of like fresh flowers or something on that line, where the wood flowers look so real. They're so pretty. I hand paint all mine myself. So I'm like, you can bring to me custom colors, like bring me a piece of paper, bring me a spatula, whatever you have that has the color you want on it. And I'll paint them to that color and just get you what you want. And I send them pictures along the way as I'm working, like making sure we're all on the same page. This is coming out the way they envisioned in their head.
And I think that's really important to do too, is to check in with the customer, like kind of through the process, especially, I'm one of the types where like, I'd rather fix it up front than have to fix it after. Like as I'm going, I want to make adjustments. I actually had a bride recently, because I still do my own thing on the side occasionally. Oh, Your Lovely, it's my main focus, but when people hear you do flowers, they're like, could you? And it's hard to But when we started talking, she was a pandemic bride. And when we started talking, she had this one vision of what she wanted. Now, had I gone off that, she would never have gotten what she ended up wanting at the end, right. Originally it was sunflowers and whatever, and then just checking in, she didn't want the sunflowers anymore. So I think it is important to, like, when you're doing custom stuff,
right,
check in along the process.
And a lot of times people don't necessarily know exactly what they want either. So you're kind of that counselor, guidance person that helps them. Like, I show them greenery, I show them different stuff. I kind of put flowers together for them when they come and visit with me, and just kind of go through a lot of what to us florist people would seem like a basic kind of a given. To people who don't do this, or they're not crafty, they don't know. Right. A lot of times they just don't know what they want, and then or they're a very visual person. Yeah. And just showing them things helps a ton. And then showing them, like, as you're going to, just helps so that they can see and be like, oh, okay, that was not what I had in mind, or wow, that's totally what I had in mind and I love it. Right. You want, of course, on my end, I want to hear that. Yeah. But if they don't, that's fine too. Like, you have to be so patient working with people, because not everybody thinks the same. They don't all do things the same. And yeah, it's easy for us to get frustrated, but we shouldn't, because they're our customer and they're the one who's ultimately paying our bills and stuff, and make them happy. Right. Just have good customer service is really the main thing for me, is like, take care of them. Yeah. So are you doing a lot of in-person consultations with clients? Oh, yeah. Since you're offering, if you have a vase or a container, bring it to me. I guess you're doing a lot of in-person stuff. I pretty much never stopped doing in-person stuff. Yeah. I did have some people who, during the pandemic, they were like, I don't know if I'm comfortable coming inside. I'm like, well, we can talk on my driveway. That's fine with me if you're comfortable with that, or we can do a Zoom thing or online, whatever format you're used to. And I really didn't have anybody who took me up on the online thing. Yeah. But I had a few people who were like, oh yeah, I can meet you like on your driveway. And I stood outside and they sat in their car. Yeah. And that was fine. So then I could still show them stuff and work with them that way. And right. Yeah. That's awesome. So what is your favorite kind of vibe or color story to work with? Like, do you either weddings or custom orders, are you like a traditional round kind of person, or do you like the wild boho look? Like, what's your favorite to do? I end up getting a lot of wilds and a lot of rounds. Yeah. I like them. I love doing cascades. Okay. But if somebody brings but if somebody tells me we're going to work with pink today, I'm like, oh, hallelujah. I love pink. Okay. So, like, I don't know. I just get so excited when I get to work with pinks, especially the bright pinks. I don't know. I'm very much I love bright colors. Yeah. Yeah. So, but I mean, I'll do anything, but when I get told, oh, we're doing pinks today, I'm just like, ooh, happy dance. So pink cascade is like your dream. Yeah. Yeah. And awesome. Going back to your business, what are some challenges you've had to overcome, like, just over the years? Space in my house was probably the biggest thing. Yeah. I started out setup behind you, by the way. It looks great. Thanks. That's actually all your lovely flowers, and they're all like organized by flower type and in alphabetical order, because that's the way I am. So amazing. I'm weird. It's fine. That's not weird. I have chaos in front of me and behind me. So well, if you could see my actual desk here, that's pretty chaotic. Okay. And pretty disastrous. And we won't talk about that.
Okay.
So it's not all roses, but no, I started out working in the room in our house that I call the dungeon, because it is a teeny tiny little room and there are no windows. I mean, it's like 8 foot by 9 foot maybe.
Yeah.
And I had my carts that are behind me, they're on wheels because sometimes we get water in our basement. Yay. So everything's up off the floor a few inches and they roll around. But anyway, so when I was in that little dungeon room, then I would have to always move them around in order to be able to even get at things, because I had like cart, like back to back, like
right. You had to like move them aside to get to the
like
next
every time you're doing an order, it was super frustrating because I'm like, okay, I have to move this to get that, and then I have to move that to get this. And I felt like I was spending way more time moving things around than I was actually being productive.
Right.
So about a year ago now, I added like 6 lights in this space.
Yeah.
Like the super bright LED ones so that I could actually see.
Yeah.
Because there used to be one half working light in here. We redid the floor. We redid everything. And then I said, I'm moving over here. And right on that side of the wall where I'm sitting now is my laundry room, where I also paint and store all my containers and stuff like that. So it's just closer. And then there's a window out that room, so to the backyard where I can see my kids when they're playing outside. So I can still like keep an eye on the kids and get all my work done at the same time.
Whenever you're in a room where there's no light and you're like working on stuff, I don't know if you're a morning like when you're working on things morning or night, but there are times when it's like, oh, I think it got dark outside. Like you just don't know, like when you're in a room that has.
Well, I didn't know, like you don't know what time it is.
Exactly.
Or anything. And I'm more of a night owl, so I'll start working usually after my kids go to bed, and I'm kind of an 8 o'clock stickler. Like you go to bed at 8 o'clock, I don't see you again until the morning.
Yeah,
kind of a person. And I have one kid who is very much a morning person, so that's been hard for me, but we'll deal with it.
Yeah.
So
night person and Cascades, we have a lot of similarities already.
Yeah.
Awesome. Let's see. I know you said you know have been marketing at like the craft shows you do in the spring and the fall. But you do have a website. Like, what are some of the other ways you're like getting the word out about your business?
So yeah, I have my website, and then I also I'm on Facebook. I have a Facebook page. Most of the time I keep business stuff on my Facebook page. Rarely do I post it to my personal page, because I just feel like that's a little bit of your friends don't necessarily care about your business. They maybe should.
Right. Fair.
You know, they don't have the same interests always as I do. So I try to respect that on my personal page. But if I do see something or make something that I think like, oh, I'm super proud of this, then I'll post it on my personal page too. But then I'm also on Instagram. So between the website, Instagram, and Facebook, that's kind of where I'm at as far as social media goes.
That's awesome. And that's a lot to keep up with, like that, you know, making sure your website's up to date and then doing social media. Like there are people whose entire jobs are just the social media part, you know, trying to make sure you're consistent and do all of the things like that can be tough. So it's good to see that you're able to.
Well, honestly, to figuring out how, which actually wasn't hard. I just didn't know for a while that you could do it. You can link Instagram and Facebook so that it posts to both at the same time. So you don't have to do 2 things. You just do one, which is super helpful.
Yeah. Well, that's a great tip for everyone watching. If you haven't, link them up. And I guess kind of to sum up, this has been awesome and it's been really great chatting with you. My final question is, for anyone who's watching, who's either on the fence about whether or not they're ready to start a business, whether it's part-time, full-time, like what advice would you give to someone who wants to become an entrepreneur, and not even necessarily just in the wood flowers? Like, what advice would you give them?
I would say start small, do a little bit at first and see how it goes. Don't jump all in, rack up huge amounts of debt, or even if you don't have the debt, if you're using up savings, it's just try it and see if it's going to be workable for you.
Right.
Do little by little, and start small. You don't have to have this huge place. Like, I'm still 5 years later working out of my basement.
Yeah.
And it works. And actually, there's a lot of tax write-offs to doing it in your own house.
Right.
For example, for us,
especially if you have a dedicated space for it.
Right. You do have to have the dedicated space, but where I live, like, we talked to our lawyer and we went through all the details and all that, but we can write off 10% of our mortgage, all of our utilities, our internet, phone bill, all that. And like, you're paying all of these things anyways to live in your house. So
right.
That's a huge savings that you don't see up front.
Right.
It comes later.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
That's awesome. Well, do you have anything else you want to add before we wrap up, or?
I think we pretty much covered all of the basics anyways.
Awesome.
It's been so much fun to work with Oh You're Lovely, and I always get good quality flowers. I shouldn't say good, I should say awesome. Like, definitely my number one supplier. I don't think I even use anybody else anymore at this point. So that's always nice to know that I'm going to get good stuff in that's always easy to work with. There's not a lot of extra stress and whatever.
Yeah.
Fixing flowers or turning a petal a certain way so that it's hidden a little bit more if it's not quite perfect. But so right. I've been super happy with Oh You're Lovely, and I wish that all my greenery and filler and container suppliers were as easy to work with as Oh You're Lovely is for flowers and stuff. Although I'm excited to see that you're getting more and more greenery. Yeah. That's pretty awesome too.
Yeah. Actually,
when I first started with you, I don't think you had any greenery. I think it was just the flowers.
Yeah. So we're coming up on almost 4 years of being in the space. And I want to say, because I first started off as a customer of Oh You're Lovely's myself. When I just, loved the product and loved, everything that they were doing in the community that they were building. And so to have become a part of it myself, like on the back end, was awesome. But I think, I want to say it was like spring of 2019, maybe, when greenery started. Okay. It was but that stuff, like we kind of want to be your one-stop shop for like anything you need to work with the flowers. So that's been a lot of fun, and we have some exciting stuff coming to wholesale very soon after getting some feedback.
Awesome.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you, Christiana, for taking the time to talk with me on the Maker Spotlight. Super excited to have you as one of our customers, but also just someone that we, are partnering with and seeing like how your business is growing and all of that. For anyone who is watching, if you are interested in being spotlighted, please email wholesale@ohyourlovely.com. You can also message us if you have any questions about starting your business. We have a full blog with lots of information, and I will be on the other side of that email to answer any questions you have. So anyway, thanks again to Christiana Westra from See Anna's Things in Northwest Iowa. We are looking forward to seeing your business flourish even more.
Thank you.
Thank you.